Hello and welcome to Business Insider with Mario Toneguzzi on YYC Business. Joining me today is Ernie Tsu, who is the president of the Alberta Hospitality Association and owner of Trolley 5 in Calgary. Thanks for joining us today, Ernie.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the current situation and the plight of the restaurant and bar industry in Alberta. How would you describe the mood and that your operators and the association are feeling these days?
Well, the mood is, to be honest with you, I would say the majority of our industry right now is somewhat devastated and on their heels. Going through a third lockdown right now after all the investment that has happened from our industry to keep the public as safe as possible throughout this pandemic. And we're talking about plexiglass to the sanitizer, to the new soaps, the new detergents that have to be used on our tables, to now investing into patios to try to stay alive, and now losing those. Restaurants are at that breaking point. We've already seen more closures. We were seeing more closures prior to the patio decision. And, my worry is what this is going to look like after the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Is that kind of like the killer for a lot of the industry? Is the latest government measures that shut down not only the in dining but now the patios for at least 3 weeks? Is that kind of like the end, the last straw, I guess, for many, is just say, throw up their hands and say that's it?
Well, I'd say a lot of our industry, the last straw was during the second lockdown. It's very tough mentally and physically to be a targeted industry. The last lockdown during the winter there, we saw cases screaming up, and it was hospitality, fitness, and hair salons that were closed. What the path that they've taken at this point has not worked. And now it's going to leave, it'll leave our industry devastated, especially after this third lockdown.
Yeah. When you look into the future, like, obviously, what is it, 3 times now that you open, shut type thing, right? For a lot of your employees, that you've had to lay off, is there a fear going forward that you're going to lose a lot of these people for good because they're just, they have to make a living, right? And many of them are full-time servers, right? And they just can't, they have to make some money somewhere, so they move on, right?
Well, we're going to lose. We've already started to see it. There's massive distrust with our industry, and I wouldn't say our staff versus owners. It's staff versus, where is our industry going to go from here? And you're right. We're seeing a lot of loss of some of our top talent that has been with us for years. Some of our top bartenders, servers, chefs that are now looking to pivot to a different industry, because the worry is this government really has not laid out a staged plan of how everything's going to reopen and how industries are going to have a better chance to stand on their feet and get back to being profitable.
Yeah. When you look at the past year, what has been the most, I guess, concerning thing for you about what's happened in the past year or so?
The most concerning right now is mental health. There's no doubt about it. That is at the forefront of our industry right now. We've had, it's a word that nobody wants to talk about, but we've had suicides in our industry that are directly linked to the lockdowns and the economic impact there. But the mental health of our servers, our bartenders, of all of our staff, we have to understand that our industry is such an amazing industry for people that are in school, that are trying to pay their way through school, or, for a lot of, I have so many staff here that went on to become nurses or doctors. And, that allotted them, especially when they were in nursing, because it's such an intense program, it allotted them that chance to work 1 or 2 days a week to, kind of pilot their way through school.
So when you and you look at things overall, what is it? What would you like to see? In a perfect world, given the circumstances that are out there, what would you like to see from the government for the hospitality industry?
Well, I think what we'd like to see first and foremost is a dedicated plan that they can stick to around measurable metrics. So, is it going to be, we're going to reopen industry with vaccinations of 48% versus hospitalizations of 300 or 400 or whatever the benchmarks are? Is it vaccinations versus daily case count? Is it vaccinations versus the R rating, or is it vaccinations with all three? All of us in this world, especially in being an entrepreneur, we work around goals, we work around benchmarks, we work around measurable metrics, and that was one positive that came out of the last lockdown, is when the government finally came forward and said, we're going to work around the benchmark of hospitalizations. This now gives us a chance as owners to hire, to schedule, to have a plan for our own businesses, as to ensure that we're ready not just for ourselves, but for our staff.
Mhm. When you look into the future, Ernie, whenever that may be, when things get back to normal, so to speak, I saw a staggering number the other day. The Canadian Federation of Independent Business, the average debt load of small businesses in Canada is about $170,000. That's the average. In Alberta, the restaurant industry, they showed an average debt of over $300,000.
That is correct. Yeah.
How can this industry, how could many of these businesses move on? Like they're going to take who knows how long to just get on an even keel and pay off that debt, right?
And that's what's so important to understand right now, Mario, is that my hat goes off to all of the restaurant owners that are in this industry, especially in Alberta. It's the Albertan way. It's the resiliency. It's the try to pivot and try to ensure that you get out of this. We look at the patios right now and the amount of restaurants that took loans to get these patios up. I've spoken to about 2 or 3 in Calgary that literally got their patio up the week that the announcement was made, and now they're in the hole $12,000. And they've shown me those invoices.
Yeah.
This is what is not seeming to sink in with this government. They want us to keep reinvesting. They want us to keep employing, and they want us to keep contributing to commercial property tax. Yet there doesn't seem to be a plan forward on how to get our industry back to a situation where it is more whole. When we come out of this lockdown, we can't come out with patio service only. We still have 40% of our industry that do not have patios.
Yeah.
And takeout and pickup and delivery is nowhere near. That's why you're seeing the debt load carry so heavy in Alberta. Another reason you're seeing the $300,000 in debt as opposed to 170 is in other provinces like Quebec, Ontario, British Columbia, the provincial governments have come forward with their additional subsidies for all of the hardest hit sectors. And we have not seen that in Alberta. We've seen Alberta do the SMERG, which is the equivalent of all of the other provinces on the small business equalization grants. But now, on top of that, other provincial governments have gone far over and above to try to keep their economy more whole when they come out.
One last thing for you, Ernie, on a personal level, what keeps you going? You're an owner of a restaurant / bar out there. You felt the pain and see what's going on personally. What keeps you going, and instead of just throwing up your hands and saying, I'm done?
Well, I'm born and raised here at Calgary, and born and raised Albertan. And for me, it's, as an entrepreneur, it's about my staff, and it's about, quite frankly, not giving up on the dream. It was always my dream to have a brewery with my business partner PJ, and I will certainly not let that go, not without a fight. But at the same time, also not without the education of what's happening to our industry. Our industry has always been there. If it's local charities or local minor sports, we've always been there to contribute. We've always been there to give back. And in my position right now, it's listen to my industry, work with the majority decision that our industry wants to move forward with, and try to get the government on the same page with us. It's been very tough physically, but more mentally, especially to see the effects that it's taken on my staff.
Yeah. Okay, super. Well, thanks for taking the time and sharing your thoughts with us today, Ernie.
And cheers. Thank you so much for having me, Mario.
Okay, super. That is Ernie Tsu, who is the president of the Alberta Hospitality Association and also owner of the Trolley 5 establishment in Calgary. This has been Business Insider with Mario Toneguzzi on YYC Business. Thanks for joining us today.